John Thelwall was a British orator and reformer. He was born in 1764 in Covent Garden, London, the son of silk merchant Joseph Thelwall. In 1791 he married Susanna Vellum at Oakham. She died in 1816. Sometime later he married his second wife Henrietta Cecil Boyle. In 1794 he, Horntuck and Thomas Hardy were tried for treason, based on their political activities opposed to Prime Minister William Pitt, but all were acquitted. Still, his lectures were dogged by angry mobs, and so by 1798 he retired from politics. He became an elocution teacher in 1800. He died in 1834 in Bath. We will cover his The Rock of Modrec, or The Legend of Sir Eltram, an ethical romance from 1792. The book is a series of endless battles between Sir Eltram and hordes of serpents, dragons, demons, giants and the like, to try and rescue his beloved Matilda from the clutches of Oswald the sorcerer, who has turned her to stone. The fights do end up being rather repetitive eventually, Thelwall not being very good at mixing up his choreography, so a centaur gets dispatched the same way as a winged demon or a knight with a big sword. About who Sir Eltram is, I have no clue, the text not finding it important enough to tell us. Matilda is apparently the daughter of King Offa of Mercia, setting the story in the 8th century. Mind you, we basically never get to see any of Matilda. In 2 volumes she speaks a single time, 138 pages into volume 2. We start the book knowing nothing about her. We only learn about A, Matilda having a brother, and B, him opposing her, and Eltram's marriage halfway through the book in passing. Like we're supposed to know this already. Also, a helpful spirit in disguise tries to find where Matilda's imprisoned at one point, but because deceit is always bad, even when trying to save a kidnapping victim from a blaspheming necromancer raising armies of demons, she is not allowed to help Eltram. The 2nd volume starts with the good witch Urganda, whom Eltram had previously liberated from a tree, spending 40 pages talking about a different hero saving a different damsel from a different sorcerer, seemingly only as a vague lesson, because the constant lecturing about virtue the book goes on and on about isn't enough apparently. The only real thing of note is the knight in the story doesn't want his beloved to think he's buying her love, so he comes to the already poor woman in disguise and asks her for money. After more repetitive monster bashing, Eltram kills a few knights, including stabbing them heroically in the back as they're running away. This includes an old man named Aribert, whose son Amintas begs him for mercy, but Eltram hacks at him anyway until he dies, then makes Amintas his squire to help him carry his things. He almost saves Matilda, but doesn't heed the spirit Ariel yelling at him to come save him just before Eltram crashes through a wall to fight Oswald, and this lack of virtue is enough for heaven to turn from him, have Matilda turned to stone again, and have Eltram dragged to the dungeons to be tortured. Never mind the fact that by this point he already saved Ariel once along with a water sprite and Urganda, and that several times his aid was sought by demonic entities trying to trick him. After he gets his sides roasted for a while by imps, Urganda actually saves Eltram from the dungeon and makes him get his act together and do something. And I admit I was not expecting a female character to have such a proactive role in a Gothic romance from the 1790s, especially considering Matilda's near non-existence in the story, as anything but someone other people talk about in her absence. The final battle with Oswald takes 8 words, and to recount it in its entirety: he slew the trembling necromancer at a blow. We literally spent more time on battling the random guy who turned into a bird, by an order of magnitude. Also, Amintas, despite being thrust into the story and the narrative going on about the heroic deeds he is yet to perform, does nothing but bring Eltram his horse and retire to a monastery. Also, we end on a spirit lecturing us again, going on to Matilda about avoiding unnecessary temptations. And I was sat there wondering what book the author thinks he has been writing, since the only thing Matilda had ever done, of which we were informed after the fact third hand, was to get into a litter offered ostensibly to get her away from Oswald, but which actually was in his employ. So the exact opposite of what he just accused her of.